Le doy la bienvenida.
I would like to welcome you all on behalf of CLAIS Uniservitate and the Portuguese Catholic University. I am Mariano Garcia, and I would like to invite you to join me for the closing session of the second Global Uniservitate Symposium, where we will listen to some conclusions. It is such a pleasure to be able to get together to close this symposium that has looked at service learning, integral education, and transformative spirituality. So in support of the Global Compact on Education, I would like to welcome you to this closing session. We have experienced a lot of things since yesterday when Luisa Rocha started the panel with his words, the participation of the Cardinal, the greetings from Pope Francis, Antonio Gutierrez, the Secretary of the United Nations, and Dr. Isabela Capeola Gil, the rector of the Portuguese Catholic University. How many things have gone by? How many presentations we have listened to? How many roundtables? How many panelists? All of them sharing knowledge in this great symposium that is on service learning, integral education, and transformative spirituality. I'm sure that all of you can draw your own conclusions. But now I would like to invite some special people to help us draw some conclusions from this symposium. This symposium is not a one-off event. It is part of a process, the Uniservitate program, that seeks the institutionalization of service learning in Catholic higher education institutions. This year, Uniservitate held its symposium in cooperation with the Portuguese Catholic University. So I would like to invite Maria Nieves Tapia, who is Director of CLAIS Argentina, CHANTAL JOUANNET Valderrama from the Pontifical Catholic University in Chile, and ENRIQUE OCHOA, Executive Director of CLAIS, to share their views on the key learnings from the Uniservitate Symposium. Let me give the floor to Maria Nieves Tapia, Director of CLAIS Argentina, for her to start with her contributions and her summary. Welcome, Maria Nieves. Thank you, Mariano. Thank you for this kind introduction. Once again, welcome to you all who have been following this symposium for the last 2 days, and also thanks to those of you who will be watching this in different time zones. We have had a lot of hard work over these 2 days. Let me just share some 3 thoughts in 3 minutes. Throughout these 2 days, we have been saying that this symposium is carried out in support of the Global Compact on Education. And Pope Francis referred to the African proverb saying that you need a village to educate a child. And now he says we need a global village in order to think about a proper education that can address the current challenges. And in addition to the message that he sent us, I'm sure that Pope Francis would be very happy if he had watched our panels, because I think that we have put some building blocks for the construction of this global village. We have seen the experiences of multiple spiritualities and religions from Asia. We see the engagement in Europe, in Africa, in the US, in Latin America, in every corner of the world, where all of us are building this truly global community. So my first conclusion has to do with some words of appreciation to all of you who have contributed to building this global village. My second thought has to do with the fact that here we talk about transformative spirituality. Pope John Paul II would say that globalization was driven by the economy, but we had to drive solidarity guided globalization. And I think that solidarity, fraternity, communion, reciprocal care have been terms and words that have been repeated over and over again in different languages by those who have a religion and those who do not, by all of us who try to engage in this profound search for our own identity. And let me conclude with a phrase with which we concluded in August, the International Conference on Service Learning. 2,000 years ago, St. Peter was writing to the Jewish who were in the diaspora, and they said, be ready to give a reason for your hope. I think that over these 2 days, we have seen many reasons why we should be hopeful. The actions carried out by our students, their creative projects, full of life, full of engagement, with those that are excluded, the stories from so many faculty members who joined their students in this engagement, the engagement and the commitment of university authorities who are now shaping this new model of higher education. So let me conclude by saying thank you for being signs of hope. Let us continue building together hope based on facts, based on life, based on this idea of a global village of brothers and sisters working together. Thank you. Thank you, Nieves, for your kind words. Chantal, I invite you to take the floor and share your conclusion.
If you, okay, there it is. You have unmuted your mic. So good afternoon from Chile. What a challenge to transmit a summary in just 3 minutes of this retreat we've made during these 2 days. And first, I would like to focus on integral education. And first, I think it's an integral education is achieved by consistently developing all the dimensions of human beings. And in these 2 days, we've surveyed some dimensions that are generally present in our curricula, but are quite forgotten, like the spiritual part, the ethical part, the affectionate part, and also the social and political part. And I think that's a great learning. Surveying those elements in our education today that are sometimes neglected, but also something very important has to do with what Pope Francis has told us about bringing together head, heart, and hands, but also situated in a context we are in now globally, and we cannot forget that. Another important element of this integral education is that it's not done on its own. It's achieved through the commitment of all the stakeholders. And in that sense, if all the stakeholders are involved, we can achieve that integral education. Today, as you said, as we've heard, professors, students, church leaders that are part of this. So in that sense, all the stakeholders, in my case, thinking of an educational institution, I ask, where is the student in that integral education? Where are they situated? How much they love themselves to love others, how much they care for themselves to care for others, how much do they know that what they are learning is going to have an impact on their education, or the faculty, the teacher that we need to have involved in this integral education. What are they indifferent to? What are they upset at? What would they like to motivate their students to be angry about, to be formed in those elements that are being left out? What's the relationship of the faculty with their peers? Because they are role models, they are witnesses. What's their relationship with the students for that integral education? What's their relationship with the community? How concerned are they about the well-being of the community? But I also think of other actors, and those are the um, leaders of our institutions, because this not only happens in the classroom, we know it happens in the communities, but also in the corridors of our universities. When I go to the library, how are the people involved in these other elements, the spiritual, affectionate elements, communicational, speaking of the staff and the leaders in our institutions? And finally, and the most important, what's the value that we assign to this integral education? What value do we assign to the communities in this integral education, to our neighbors, to those that are deprived of their freedom, to those that are today in hospitals, those that are marginalized? What's our relationship in this integral education? Is it a two-directional relation? Is it a reciprocal relationship? For me, it's very important that we not only need an integral education that harmonizes these dimensions, but there are many actors that contribute to this integral education. So I think it's very relevant, and we've also seen this throughout these days. The contribution we can all make to the students' integral education in our institutions, particularly how necessary this is for the moment we are experiencing in the world. Chantal, thank you so much for your words and for sharing with us this second symposium and this closing panel. Now, Enrique, we would like to listen to your words, your conclusions about what you've experienced in the second symposium.
Thank you, Mariano. Thanks to Nieves and Chantal. As Executive Director of CLAS, it has been a pleasure for me to support you throughout these 2 days of work. Before this, we had hundreds of days of work. The CLAS team, and more specifically Uniservitate team, focus on all the details for this symposium to be an outstanding event because of the quality of the presentations, the warmth expressed in each panel, and especially because the symposium enabled us to make visible the level of institutionalization of these practices. We saw that in the plenary sessions and in the roundtables. We are not talking about isolated experiences. We are truly talking about the commitment of institutions to support these practices. I think that is a key piece of information, especially looking forward, how we can continue expanding service learning in higher education institutions, both Catholic and non-Catholic institutions. And secondly, I would like to highlight the fact that Uniservitate is already a well-established, consolidated network of institutions working together, speaking a common language despite the language differences. And I take this opportunity to thank the interpreters. But there is some common language about what is our understanding of community, of the role of university, what is the role of institutions in educating students, what kind of graduates we want to achieve. And you know, CLAS is celebrating its 20th anniversary, And 15 years ago, we set up the Ibero-American Service Learning Network. We have also supported the creation of service learning networks in other parts of the world. Some networks that are not specifically devoted to service learning, but to related practices. But in Uniservitate, we see quite a peculiar characteristic. We see Catholic higher education institutions with their own characteristics that can have a resemblance in other higher education institutions. I think that Uniservitate has now turned into a very special space, as a heterogeneous and pluralistic space, because we know that there are different regions represented there, and sometimes not all universities in the same region work in the same way. So this is a point of reference. This is a role model for some institutions. It is a space for publications and for dissemination of best practices. And I think that this allows us to build a critical mass that that helps disseminate and make all these practices visible. So let us continue promoting service learning as a pedagogy that enables us to continue changing our communities through our universities and higher education institutions. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Enrique. I want to thank the three of you for your kind words, your thoughts. I'm sure that they coincide with the conclusions that you as attendees are making. So we invite you to write in the YouTube chat your own conclusions, your own reflections on the symposium that has been held together with our colleagues from the Portuguese Catholic University. From the very first day, the Uniservitate program wants to give life to the voice of young students. We want them to take the leading role in service learning. And I'm sure you have seen initially in the breaks some video clips. We have started, in fact, the second symposium showing stories, testimonials from youth from different parts of the world who have spoken about their own view of integral education and transformative spirituality and the meaning of service learning. That is why we want to bring their voices back to this closing session. So we invite you to watch this video from young students.
Service learning is the foundation in building a better learning community and experience. Electronic service learning has proven to me that social connections and helping one another is borderless.
A pesar de que pasamos la mayor parte de nuestra vida en los campus, en las salas o en el Zoom.
Although we spend most of our life in Zoom rooms and in the classrooms, there is a world outside that needs our help.
Taking what I've learned in class, taking what I know from home, and putting it and actualizing it in society.
É sem dúvida alguma uma experiência muito gratificante e qualquer profissional deveria ter a oportunidade de a vivenciar durante o seu percurso.
Sin duda, qué importante es escuchar a los
Undoubtedly, how important it is to listen to the young students, listening to them, to their lives, what they do for service learning. That's why we also want to announce to you, perhaps this is not the moment, I just want to give you this breaking news, that we want to make the young students even more visible. So after this second Global Symposium of Uniservitate, we are going to officially announce an award that we want to organize, intended to discover those institutions that choose service learning as a strategy to contribute to an integral education and a true transformation of reality. Experiences that promote the leading role of the students in a true social engagement in their national territory and in the region. But I don't want to tell you more about it because after the second symposium, we will share this news through the hubs that are part of the program so you can all participate. It will be very rich to see how the young students conduct in different parts of the world several projects that transmit and give us lots of hope. This second symposium undoubtedly has been organized for a long time. It requires a lot of organization. And this virtuality has allowed us to approach different people in different parts of the world. For a couple of days, we've been together, we've sat at the same polyedric table, but many people have generously given their time and knowledge for this second symposium to be truly a dream come true. So I would like to invite those that have coordinated the two teams that have organized the second symposium. I'm going to pass the floor to Rita PAIVA e PONA from the Portuguese Catholic University in Portugal, and Maria Rosa Tapia, the coordinator of the Uniservitate CLAIS program in Argentina. So they will be the two faces that will transmit all the work and all the effort that many people have made. Rita, it's been a pleasure. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mariano. I would like to start by thanking you for giving me this opportunity to be part of this session at the end of these 2 intense days of work in the Uniservitate Symposium. These have been 2 days full of projects, dreams, achievements, and many other things in a polyhedral and multicultural setting. This is the sign of a living synodal church with the Holy Spirit speaking in different languages. When Pope Francis launched the Global Compact on Education, invited us all to join at the education level to overcome divisions and to rebuild the social mesh, moving towards greater fraternity. I think that we are in the right path. And now that we are talking about a path, let me take this opportunity to thank all of you who have contributed to these 2 days of symposium that are now coming to the end. The external teams with whom we have worked over the last few months. Belen, who has been so kind, always there. The interpreters team from Portugal, coordinated by Manuel, that has been invisible, making sure that everybody could benefit from this symposium. The magnificent team that was set up and established relations in the organization of this symposium. Nieves, for her trust in the Portuguese Catholic University and for the way in which she inspires us to use this methodology. And our rector for the network that she has created and for understanding our failures and allowing us to stand back on our feet and keep going. Laura, Pedro, and others for all the shared moments in preparing for this program. And the national team of the Catholic Portuguese University, all of them who contributed to assessing and evaluating the abstracts for the different panels. Monica and Analia, Anna and Katerina, for being the keepers of our communication and for allowing us to learn a lot. Alexandra, for all the translations and reviews of the text. Adriano, for the calm with which he always found solutions to the technical difficulties. Adriana, for helping us read and understand the challenges, and for taking service learning even beyond our university, and Carlos for his constant presence over all these months with so many solutions and proposals and a nice word. Andres and Maria for all the hours, a lot of hours devoted to the scientific committee, for sharing knowledge and the unconditional support, for your companionship, and for the energetic way in which you organize all the meetings. Agustina and Joanna for the incredible way in which you distributed, reorganized, redistributed again, thought and made decisions on the running of this symposium. And our contact point for this symposium. Without you, this wouldn't have been possible. You are the best one. And Maria Rosa for guiding us with so much clarity and determination in the polyhedral shape. And let's continue putting hands, heads, and hearts into this.
Muchas gracias, Rita. Muchas gracias por tus palabras de agradecimiento y tu
Thank
hermosa...
you, Rita, for your words of appreciation and for this beautiful message. Maria Rosa, I invite you to take the floor. I want to thank all of you. Thanks, Rita, for your kind words, for this beautiful process that we engaged in over the last few months. As you well put it, this has not been an easy endeavor, but I think that we had our own service learning process on the basis of solidarity for putting together this symposium so that it could truly reflect what we intend to achieve with Catholic higher education institutions and with all the youths that have been invited to participate in this kind of project. I was thinking about this closing session, and I was thinking that we were so lucky that we could take a minute to share some reflections, to share ideas and what this meant for us. As Rita, as you well said, this had implied many months of work and tension in order to put all this together. And we established fraternal ties at a distance, although we hadn't met personally, but I do recall this beautiful picture that we were able to share from a past Congress. Today, we are now sharing this session after so long. During this period, we dreamed together, we cried, we laughed together, we became worried together, and fortunately today we are celebrating together this second symposium. That is why I think it is so important to highlight the importance of serving others and being ready to keep on learning, because we found a new way of encounter, a new way of building relationships and new tools to reach out to every person in his or her own language, in his or her own time zone. Because I remember in the introductory remarks when you were talking about the purpose of Uniservitate is to generate a systemic change through the institutionalization of service learning as a tool for higher education institutions to be able to fulfill their mission to offer integral education to the new generations and get them involved in active engagement with the problems of our times. And that is a lot. And we are just humble mortals. And we realized the other day that we had exceeded more than 1,000 participants who enrolled for this symposium from more than 40 countries. And I would love to have the time to mention every person in each of the hubs that have contributed to this effort. when we were sharing in a group chat these results, we were wondering, what are we doing? And Luz, one of our team members, said, we are creating a mess here. We are shaking up everything. Isn't that what Pope Francis has called us to do? So I think that in this process, we are all contributing to building a global village, this dream that can be a utopian, but we are reflecting this in every panel. We have shared our knowledge. Everybody has tried to listen actively. And I was thinking how our students can become professionals in the future with a fraternal and solidarity and service-oriented view in order to change the world. We feel like doing more of a mess to shake things even further, and we need the help of others, and we have already some projects inside. Next year, we expect to hold our third symposium, and we expect it to be a place of recognition to make students' initiatives visible, students who are already working on these projects. We want the third symposium to be also a moment of celebration, to put them in the spotlight. In the meantime, on our website, we have all the publications, all the abstracts. We have the virtual gallery of posters for you to leave comments, to continue doing networking through these virtual spaces. We have the publications. We were lucky to launch our second presentation from the Uniservitate collection, and we expect to continue doing that with all the efforts and the work that all of you are doing. We have researchers joining the teams from the different universities, so we still have a long way to go. We have a lot to learn, a lot to share, but now I wanted to devote this last few minutes not only to reiterate my appreciation to each of the persons that Rita mentioned for their efforts, the teams in each of the regional hubs, the interpreters, the technical teams, porticos, in the person of Richard Ross, specifically for his constant support and trust in our work, our own teams, Alamachi, the technical teams, the ones in charge of the web. And in particular, I want to highlight the team that we put together for this symposium. I don't want to make a distinction between the Portuguese team and the Uniservitate team. I just want to celebrate how, united in diversity, we were able to build the necessary bridges so that together we can continue actively engaging to address the problems of our times and to organize this symposium. Unfortunately, today we cannot be together in person, but we can have a huge virtual hug. Thank you, Rita. Thanks to each of you for allowing us to hold the second Global Uniservitate Symposium. Thank you. Thank you, Maria Rosa. This is not the end. This is just a way of building momentum for you to continue joining us in this beautiful Uniservitate program that has this polyhedron family from Portugal, from Argentina, with CLAIS, with the Portuguese Catholic University, from the Pontifical Catholic University of Chile. We want to give you a fraternal hug to each of you. Please continue joining us in this project. We conclude the symposium with all these messages, but we keep on walking together because this is a process. This is not the end. So greetings to all of you. Thank you for joining us.